everybody doing today? Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Blueprint podcast, powered by Lepolis Electric. I'm your host, Stephen Marcellino Jr., Vice President of Sales with Lepolis Electric. And Lepolis Electric is a family-owned electrical construction company specializing in residential services, emergency services, energy efficiency, technical services and preventative maintenance, and commercial construction. Lepolis Electric has been in business for 40 years. And today, I have the pleasure of having Leonardo DiDona on the episode with us today, owner of DiDona Auto Group. Leonardo, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it, Stephen.
Definitely. So listen, Leo, I want to dive right into things with you here. I know you have a very exciting story and a lot of life experience to offer to our listeners today. So I want to take it back to the old country, and I want you to talk to us a little bit about your experience of being an immigrant from Italy, and what it was like coming into America and kind of breaking into the whole, American business world, so to speak, and touch on that a little bit. And I also want to ask you what it was like being a part of the Italian military. So dive back into your memory vault there and talk about that experience and that path of where you were and where you are today.
All right. Thank you for your question. Stephen, I was born and raised in Mola Di Bari, which is a little town in Puglia, in the province of Bari. And I was born with, and actually my parents, they used to live in Brooklyn, okay, in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
My brother was born in Staten Island, and then they decided to move back to Italy, right? I was born in 1983, and I spent all my life in Italy, but I used to come on vacation here in New York because my mom has 5 sisters and 1 brother. They all lived here, so I used to come here on vacation. And I was, it was always my dream to come here, live here, have a family. I don't know why. I loved the American dream. I love New York so much. But I also have fun in Italy. Grew up on the street playing soccer every single day, every day. And then, spend, 18 years in Mola. And then I got called to go into the military. I spent 2 years in the military. It was actually a fun time that I spent there. I was in the first year I was on a ship. It's called La Nave Aviera, and it was in the Marines. And then the second year was in the Coast Guard.
Oh, wow.
On the helicopters. So actually, I had a great time.
Wow. That's good. So I'm guessing you didn't have to go to war or do anything crazy.
No,
like that.
thank God. But we were ready. We were prepared to go to war, but we never
had to. Yeah.
We never went. Thank God.
No, that's great. And that's that American dream, I guess, that big picture you had for your life, for your family's life. How did that shape where you are today? With because you have a lot of successes and. A lot of accolades behind you, so to speak, and I feel, especially whether it's people that have first generation immigrant parents or come from another country, you have a lot of drive to be successful, and I feel you personally, we've gotten to know each other a lot over the past year, and we've become good friends. You have a lot of passion for what you do. You have a lot of drive behind the businesses that you run. So talk a little bit about how being from another country shaped the mindset you have today for success.
So I'll take it back when, I was done in the military, right? I told my parents, Ma, I want to follow my brother, okay? My brother came here in 2004, and he started, working for a travel agency. And, I said, my brother's there. I can go there and stay with him, right, and see how it goes. He started working for a business. My background actually was a computer, like technology. I used to build computers.
Oh, wow.
That's how I used to do software. And I said, probably I can find something there and start my business, whatever it is. So I came, it was January 13, 2007, when I came to this country. As soon as I came here, started, I was with my brother living in Brooklyn, and one of my cousins said, "Why don't you come to, Joe Manfredi, which is, it was an entrepreneur, like a business owner, owned Manfredi Auto Group, like 6, 7 dealership in Staten Island. Why don't you come there, talk to him, see if he has a job for you?" I go there and says, "Yeah, no problem. I'm starting this BDC department. Just gonna make phone calls. You're gonna, start on the computer. They send the emails. You're starting Monday." That was like Friday. You're starting Monday already. All right, let's do it.
I got a job.
Now, yeah, I couldn't speak English like I do now, but it was tough for me at the beginning. But I was so excited about being in America and work here, because it was my dream to come to the States, right? And it finally came true, right? So I said, "Oh my God, that's awesome that I'm in this business. I'm making phone calls. I'm learning this kind of business. I'm actually excited about it. I'm happy. I really like this business."
Yeah.
Because I'm combining now the computer technology with the car business. I always like cars. And I said, "That's awesome," and from that point on, I started, from there I became BDC manager. Then from there I became a sales manager for Mercedes-Benz stores.
Oh, wow.
And for 4 years I worked for Mercedes, 2 years at Lexus. I was general sales manager, 2 years at Audi, and then I became general manager for Maserati and Alfa Romeo store in White Plains. I was
Wow.
there for about 5 years. But, I worked my way up from the bottom to all the way up to, to the rank.
That's awesome, and and that's really important when you're breaking into an industry with maybe no background, but you have all like the skills, like personality, the customer service, understanding of the computer and technology. You had all the pieces to the puzzle, and then you were able to get in with your first opportunity in Brooklyn or Staten Island and really work your way up the ranks and learn the business. And 9 times out of 10, I see a lot of very successful entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs in organizations get to that level because they've touched every corner of the business. And, there's no better person to have running an organization or starting their own organization than somebody that's done it all. From making the sales calls all the way up to learning how the operation works. That's what it's all about. That's what makes, in my opinion, somebody great.
Stephen, it was definitely not an easy gig, right? At the beginning, when I came here, I had to learn from nothing, zero,
Yeah.
right?
And you said you were barely able to speak English at
Correct.
the time, which is even more impressive.
Correct. So, but you know what's happening? What I've seen throughout the years, I've seen a lot of people coming from Italy, and they want to come and work here. They do, I will say, a few months, right? This is too much work. And they go back to the country. They go back to Italy. I say, we do work 24/7. We never stop working.
No, yeah.
In Italy, they have a life. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? They wake up in the morning, they go to work, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they go back home,
Siesta.
eat, sleep,
Yeah.
and then they go back to work for another 2, 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
We can't afford to do that here.
No.
Okay, as much as we would love to, but we can't. So I had to learn another way of living and working, so which I did, and that took me to where I am right now.
That's awesome. So where you are now, very successful, and I personally, use you for the last vehicle I purchased. Very, very good experience, and it's your customer service is top notch, like unparalleled customer service, and I truly believe that. It's what separates a good company from a great company. So touch a little bit on that. What does like that customer service mean to you, especially I'm sure having worked at as the GM of Maserati, you've probably dealt with all different types of people, and you really understand that the level of customer service that's required to be successful.
So, it could be Maserati, it could be another brand, Audi or Lexus, Toyota, any brand,
Whoever it
right?
is.
The customer service for me is, always it's steady, right? It's you have to treat your clients the right way, the excellent way, no matter who they are, right? And I've seen throughout the years that even when I shop for a certain brand, for certain products, they don't get that customer service. If I have a question, right, that I ask and I don't get that answer back, or they take a long time to answer me back, unfortunately, I go somewhere else.
Yeah.
This is what I do. So when Stephen Marcellino, okay, calls me up or texts me and says, Leonardo, I'm really looking for this car, this and that. If I don't answer back right away, or I don't answer back with with certain things that you want, I'm gonna lose you as a client. I'm not giving you that customer service that you want. So, and this is what I do with everyone. It could be the Hollywood client, okay, or the guy that works every day for the family. I'm still gonna provide the same customer service.
Yeah, it's very true. So, you've been in the industry for quite some time now. Over the past 15, 20 years, to current date, 2025, what is like the biggest changes you've seen in the automotive industry? Specifically on like the retail sales side where you are.
So this is something that I'm gonna say that got me to where I am, and you gotta adapt to technology. You gotta adapt to the future and the way every year there's something that changes, right? Now the AI, right? You gotta adapt to AI, and I use AI like there's no tomorrow. Unfortunately, a lot of people are stuck in the past. This is the way we do business. We've been doing business for the past like 50 years. This is how we sell used car. Here's the key, go. No, you gotta adapt to technology. If you don't do that, I think you will be failing.
Yeah, I agree, and I know like something you definitely value and utilize a lot in your business model. I could see on the marketing side, especially, is the use of social media. Which I know you have a lot of experience with, and you and I may or may not have done a funny skit together that's out on TikTok. If anybody wants a nice laugh, go look it up. But no, it's, social media, in my opinion, especially in today's market, is going to crush, people that aren't utilizing the social media platforms out there to talk about your business or what you do, or give people a little bit of an inside look into who you are and who your family is, that personal touch. Because if, for me, for example, I always say this, if I've been doing this now, consistently over the past 5-6 years, the whole social media grind, adapting into, starting the podcast with my company, with Carmine Lapolis, and, putting out educational content on LinkedIn, showing out, what I'm doing on the weekends with my son or my wife, whatever it may be. I'm building my personal brand, I'm building my company's brand, and, I've been doing this, like I said, for the past 5-6 years. The person that decides to start today, maybe one of my competitors, just because they start today doesn't mean that they're instantly gonna, get all this, brand awareness and, potential clients and all these things because they just started. I'm 5-6 years ahead of that person. They have that gap that they need to fill. So once they're doing it for 5-6 years, I'll be, I'll have done it for now 10-12 years. So in my eyes, if people and business owners or, businesses in general aren't utilizing that social media and all the different avenues that are available to execute on the use of it, they're going to get left in the past.
You got to be present. You got to be present every single day on social media. You wake up, I wake up in the morning, and the first thing that I look is the email for work. That's the first thing that I do. But then, there's that my finger goes to like Instagram, TikTok, it's like Facebook, it's like go. And you go through Reels and TikTok, videos and stuff. And sometimes like an ad pops up, you're looking at this because the phones, they listen to you. And,
Yep.
If you say something, that ad pops up.
Right there.
So, you got to be present. You got to be, every day you have to do Reels. You have to post something, because some people might be looking for a car. I say, you know what, I'm looking for that Audi, let's say, right? But I don't have time right now. And then you forget about it. And then you go back because they're following me and they see Audi. They see like me doing a commercial. Say, oh my God, I have to,
Yep.
look for that car again.
So I know you're involved with some of the social media influencers and some actors and stuff, and you've done some commercials. How have those, different commercials and social media skits, shaped the way you're doing business and kind of being visible to people that may wonder what you do for a living?
So, first of all, doing skits and videos, it's something I really, really love doing. It's part of me is like, when I was a kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to become an actor. Okay, that's great. That will never happen, unless you're really in Hollywood, that you really. So by doing this, by having my own business, I'm able to do some videos with some actors. Actually, they've done a lot of movies. I've done videos with Robert Funera from The Sopranos, Dominic Lombardozzi, which is, a well-known actor, and he had done a lot of movies.
He's in a lot of movies.
Yeah. And also, I was able, being a Maserati and Alpha, I was able to meet also a lot of actors from Hollywood.
That's cool.
One of them was Adrian Brody.
Oh, wow.
Adrian Brody was a class act person, a very nice guy. Unfortunately, I was never able to do a video with him, but, I got to know him. And, I've sold cars to Ferragamo, a lot of people. But, going back to doing videos and, that helped me build my persona, who I am. And people like to see what really happens in the car dealership when somebody buys a car. And I like doing those videos. And I also like to do other videos, Italian videos, to make people laugh.
You got to have fun.
You got to have fun.
That's what it's all about. And that's like what I was touching on is, you don't have to always make it about what you're doing day to day. If you make people laugh, if you, show a picture or a video with your son or one of your kids fishing, skiing, going out to dinner, whatever it is, people are going to see that and they're going to want to know more about you.
Yeah.
So it's not always about like the car, the sale. It's about who.
It's never about that first.
It's never about.
It's about you, like family, right? You don't. If somebody's looking for a car, okay, yes, you want to get the numbers. Okay, get to know me, get who I am, get to know who I am, right? If you know who I am, that I will be able to provide you, number one, with the best customer service and the number that you'll be looking to, that you want.
100%, and that goes back to the famous saying, "People buy from people."
Yeah.
So, if you're willing, I'm going to ask a question here that may help out a potential car buyer.
I need some Johnny Walker. I don't know what question you're going to ask me.
I don't know. Might have to loosen you up a little bit here to get ready for the question. So, for people that may be looking around the industry or maybe an automotive aficionado and they buy a lot of cars or whatever it may be, what is one tip you can give somebody, and hopefully they don't use it against you, to find the best deal when looking to purchase a vehicle?
Actually, what I tell all my clients, there's a lot of clients that, they're at the beginning of stage. Like, I'm looking for a car. We don't know what car that we want. And I invite them, go to dealership, go test drive all the cars. Feel free to get the best numbers. Okay? Then come back to me. And then I will beat that number. It's very easy. Okay? And there are some others that they will like to utilize my services because of the customer service and how easy it is to do a transaction with me. Okay? Definitely. It's like you go to Amazon.com, you're just looking for something, a product, it gets the next day to you, right? Same thing. Okay, you come to me, you just want, Leonardo, give me your best price on this Kia, this Mercedes. I'll give you the number. Okay, perfect. Can I get it? When can I get it? Tomorrow. That car is gonna be in your driveway tomorrow. You really don't have to go to a dealership. You have to go deal with the finance manager. You don't have to deal with nonsense.
So talk a little bit about your business specifically, because you have a very unique service offering. Like me personally, the situation I was in, I'm a procrastinator when it comes to things. I let life, kind of get ahead of me, and I call you 3 days before my lease is up on my truck. I'm over miles. I have a ton of negative equity. I don't know what car I want. And I say, Leo, what can you do for me here? And you did a lot. You were able to help me get out of the truck. You were able to help me get in a new vehicle without getting slaughtered in payments. And the car was available the next day. So that is, in my eyes, a very unique service in comparison to just driving up to a dealership and saying, hey, I need a new car, but then you're kind of pigeonholed to whatever that dealership offers and their price structure. And, for me, my biggest enemy is time, like most people, and I don't have time to drive to 25 dealerships. So talk a little bit about your business model and how it helps people that either want convenience or they don't have enough time to shop for a vehicle.
So mine is a one-stop shop, okay? If a client is in a particular like situation like yours, over mileage, or they have no time, they don't know what to do, they don't know what car they want. If they come to me and they utilize my businesses, first of all, I deal with all of the makes and models, right? So I know exactly who has a deal. Every month, at the beginning of the month, I get all the emails from all the dealership. Leonardo, help me getting rid of this car. Help me getting rid of that car. So I know exactly where to land the client or what vehicle to land the client when they approach me. Okay, and that's the reason why they utilize my service. If that same client goes to a dealership and is looking for a specific car, they're like really not able to offer any other model or any other make, right? They're specifically trying to sell that specific car. With me, it's different. I'm able to tell, oh, you know what, Stephen, in your particular situation, you're gonna get that Kia, you're gonna get that Audi, and this is gonna be the best payment for you. So I utilize all my connection to get the best deal for the clients.
That's awesome, and it's a nice service, and the price structure you have is great. I mean, there's no like hidden fees. There's no oh, thanks for working with me. You owe me $10,000. There's none of that, which is awesome because the service from the customer service perspective to the product delivery is so professional, and it's just an experience. That's what it is. That you feel like you're really getting taken care of, like you're like the Queen of England or something like that.
You should feel that way, The problem is there's a different kind of brokers as well, right? There's me that don't charge anything to the client. There's some brokers, they charge a fee to the client. I'll get you the best deal and I'll deliver the car and you pay the broker. And there's others that just like provide with the best deal. You pay the broker, but you have to go to a dealership to get your own car. Which once you go to a dealership is, I love the dealerships, right? When I used to run Maserati and Alfa, I used to provide the same customer service that I'm providing now with DiDona Auto Group. The client comes in, no pressure. You have to leave with an espresso. If you don't have an espresso, you cannot leave the showroom.
You can't leave.
That was my thing. But if the client comes, no pressure, just give the numbers. The car will sell itself. But after that many years in the car business, in the retail facing dealership kind of business, I was tired. I said I have to have my own business. Because when I used to work for dealership as well with owners, right? I used to work even when I was on vacation, because this is who I am and what I do. Okay. So at that point I said, why would I work for myself at this point? Because I work 24/7 regardless. I'm always available to answer, people's text message, phone calls, no matter where I am and what I do. So at this point I said, for the past now 2 years, I've been having my business and, it's growing month by month, it's growing.
That's awesome. And you said earlier when we were talking, you have some ideas of potentially expanding into Florida, which is an awesome achievement, once you're able to get that off the ground. And I want you to talk a little bit about that. And then also, too, do you have any kind of, because you're from, bringing it back to the beginning, talking about from Italy, do you have any kind of like international presence at all with the car industry and any kind of influence with the more Italian car brands, or how does that work? Is there any kind of connection there on your roots into current date?
Well, to answer your first question, yes, I am trying to expand my business to Florida, in Naples. I've been going there for quite some time now, and nice. I've seen that Naples as a beautiful town, and the people that live there, they always try to get serviced. They want to be catered. They want to be, they want to have that excellent customer service. So this is something that my business will provide to them. I've shopped a few dealership there. They're pretty good, but I don't think there's gonna be, the client will, after trying my services, will be able to, will go to a dealership ever again.
Yeah, I think you offer a very, I'm sure there's other brokerages out there, but you offer, because I know a few of them, but you definitely offer a unique service in comparison to the other people that are out there. And I know you had also mentioned earlier just the whole, I guess, lifestyle of Florida. What'd you say earlier about the birds? The birds over there?
Yeah, when you wake up in the morning, the birds, speak the New York language. It's like a different chipping.
Even the birds are happier in Florida,
They're
right?
super happy, man. It's a different vibe, probably because my background, I come from a town that was on the beach. So I always woke up, I always went on the beach, always like nice and beautiful sunny days and stuff. So when I go there, and I leave New York with the snow, especially this year, I feel another person.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's true.
Totally.
So, you clearly have a lot of accolades behind you and a lot of accomplishments. What, for the younger entrepreneurs out there, people that are trying to figure out their path and, determine that word success, what is a key piece of advice you could give to somebody that is looking to start their own business or, kind of get into the whole entrepreneur mindset of helping a business grow from within?
Well, I can tell you that I can speak from my own experience as well. Starting your own business is definitely not an easy gig. You're afraid. You're scared. What if in your brain you get a lot of what if it doesn't go well? What if people don't like me? What if there's a lot of what if? I don't think you should think about the what ifs at all. You just dive in, start your own business, and be passionate about it. Do what you have to do to make the client happy, give the best customer service, and you'll do well. Okay, don't ever give up, because it can go well, right? You're gonna sell a car, you're happy. You're gonna sell another car, you're happy. But there are times you're gonna hit a wall and you're gonna go down, you're gonna fall, which is fine. 100%, you're gonna fall 50 million times. But the best advice that I can give anybody: get up, okay, and move forward. Keep going. Don't ever give up, ever, because it's always gonna get better. It makes you stronger by doing that.
I think, that's some of the best advice I feel when it comes to running a business or taking risks in a business to help it grow. If you're not willing to face the fact that there will be failures and there will be
100%.
stumbling blocks, then, go work a job that's low risk. You know what I mean? Because any job or any business that's worth starting or being involved with, it's high risk, high reward. Yeah. And that's really what it takes to get to the top or to achieve that level of success that people strive to achieve in life. If I laid down and cried every time I failed or I made a mistake or whatever the case may be, I wouldn't be sitting here today having this conversation with you. And I was having this conversation with Michael and Nate prior to getting on this episode, or this morning we were talking. In business, you're gonna fail, probably more than you succeed. It's the successes that make it all worth it.
Yeah.
Though. Because if you're not constantly trying to figure out, how does this, fit here in this process, or how and making the moves, if you don't go through a trial and error process, you're never going to know. And that's what makes, in my opinion, that's what makes business fun, though, is figuring out that path to success, going through the trial and error, falling and getting back up. It builds resilience. It builds that drive to succeed. It builds a high level of discipline, and it builds a very high level of consistency, which ultimately funnels back into that word you said, passion. And when somebody goes through all the trials and tribulations to be successful, that passion, that whether it's you, me, the owner of my company, other colleagues I work with, other business owners, in the world, when they achieve that level of passion because of everything they had to go through to get there, those customers that they deal with are not going to have a better experience than with that person.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's what makes somebody great.
So if you're thinking about opening up your own business, just do it. Don't give up. And guess what? There are going to be a lot of haters out there. They're going to tell you, don't do it. It's not going to work. Smile at them. Laugh at them. It will work if you want it to work.
Thank you, Leo. I appreciate that. And that's kind of like the message of the day here, is just keep trying, keep driving, and ultimately you're going to be successful. Because at the end of the day, and this may be a morbid outlook on it, but at the end of the day, 80, 90 years goes by, we're not going to be here anymore. And, it's a matter of, do you want to be known as the guy that stopped trying, or do you want to leave behind the legacy of,
absolutely,
of whatever it is that you're able to build? And people aren't going to remember the guy that stopped trying. They're going to be a very small memory in the, light years of time. You know what I mean? But if you could build that brand on social media, it'll be there forever. If you could build that, that company that lives on for 50, 60, 100 years, your name is going to live on forever. And these achievements don't come from being average and not trying.
Correct. You got to be creative.
And that's all
also.
It comes down to.
You got to be creative in business. You got to do whatever nobody else does, right?
It's true.
So, my brain is always working. Like at nighttime, I go home, I go to sleep. I was like, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do? This is what I do. That's, what makes you be special in the business.
100%. And if everybody thought the same way, or, because me, like, I have a hard time understanding how people think, because I'm very fast-paced. My brain is always going. I wake up 2-3 times a night because I got to use the bathroom, but I'm also thinking, like, I wake up with, like, a thought of, like, what to do the next day.
That's not a bad thing.
And, I'm always trying to figure out how do I get from point A to point F and what it takes in between, to get to that. And I have a very hard time understanding that there's people out there that just simply don't think like that. And it doesn't make them bad people, but they're content with wherever they are in life, and that's what separates people that are, going to stand out or going to build a business or going to, become successful utilizing social media, whatever it is, from the people that want to just, and there's a spot in society for everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but, from the people that want to wake up and just work and have a nice life, calm. They don't have to work, more than 40 hours a week. Nothing
They're
wrong
content.
with that.
That's fine with it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Not at all.
So I actually have a question for you.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
A little
twist.
A little reverse. Go for it.
So have it happened to you that you had something in mind and people told you that's not going to work?
Oh.
And you made it happen? How did you feel after that?
I mean, listen, you're sitting here on a podcast right now. I think you're going to be episode 28 or 29. In the beginning, this podcast alone, we'll keep it on something relevant since we're sitting on a thought that I had. And I had this idea. I'd been on a couple of podcasts prior to starting Beyond the Blueprint with Carmine. And, I sat down with Carmine and I talked to him about this idea, and he was like all for it. Like That's great. He was like, that's a great idea. We're going to build brand awareness. We're going to talk about who we are as a company. We're going to bring on, interesting guests that have good stories. And he loves it. Good. Which was a major, a major contributor of getting here. But not everybody had the same outlook as Carmine Lapolis. There's a lot of people that's stupid, that's a waste of time. What's the point? What's the purpose? And I could have easily sat there and because there was much more negativity than positivity around getting this whole podcast developed. You know, but I woke up every day, like me personally, I don't give a shit what anybody
It's a
says.
huge success for you.
I don't care what anybody says. You know, I just got up every day and I planned and I planned and I planned. Episode 1, the pilot came out with Carmine and I. Major success, a lot of great feedback. And then from that day on, we've been in Marco Island, Florida. We shot with our franchise. I've had on 2-time Olympic gold medal champion powerlifters. I've had ultra successful business owners on here that own billions of dollars worth of real estate. I've had electrical engineers on here. I've had resident managers of some of the biggest buildings in New York City on here. I've had, you know, yourself. I just had, prior to you, Safet, the owner of Conti's Bakery, which has been around for 100 years in the Bronx, was just on here. And we have so many great things planned for the future for our listeners and for the brand, you know, the Lapolis brand, that if Carmine and I sat there and listened to all the negativity around starting a podcast, we wouldn't have been able to sit here today and have the successes we've been able to share because of the thought of what was a thought and now brought into reality of the Beyond the Blueprint podcast.
You feel great about it.
I feel excellent about it.
Right.
Because there's also a lot of times, and I'm not going to pull all of them apart, but there's also a lot of things that I've thought about that I didn't act on when I was in my early 20s because I cared too much about what other people thought.
You should.
And now
you do or you don't.
you do, and that's it. You know, listen, and I'm fine with it. You know, I didn't pursue it. I didn't do it, but you know, I feel everything happens for a reason, and I don't harp on it. I barely even think about those times. But now I've made a vow to myself, you know, a few years ago, and I said, if I have an idea, I'm gonna try it. And that's it. I'm going to try it. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. What's the deal? As long as I don't end up in jail or somebody doesn't get hurt, you know, every idea I have is a positive, you know, business idea that's going to help the people around me. Then why not try it?
Yeah.
You know, what's the worst thing that happens? You fail and you move on to the next idea.
You know, my mom always tells me, this is in dialect, Molese dialect. I don't know if you can understand it. Fe bune scurtete, fe male e pinza. Like, if you do the right thing by the people, okay, it's okay. That's fine. You're going to forget about it. Just keep doing the right thing, right? But if you do something bad, think about it.
100%.
You know?
Always make sure that, you know, when I make a decision, is it going to be good for my family? Is it going to be good for the people around me? And is it going to help somebody else grow? I don't sit there and say, is it good for me? I put myself last when I make a decision. I want to make sure if I have an idea, that it's going to help everyone around me grow. You know, like planting a seed in land. Is it going to turn into a tree or is it going to die in the ground?
Yeah. And
when I make a decision, that's truly how I decide is, are the people around me going to benefit from this? Because I want to make sure I'm impacting millions of people if I have that opportunity. You know, if I can help somebody get a job, if I can say something on this podcast that changes somebody's outlook in their life, if I have a business idea that's going to help five to 10 more families eat dinner for that night, you know, whatever it is, I always have other people on my mind. Regardless of people's, you know, perception of me, however people
cares
look at
about
me,
those, right?
I don't care. Deep down in my heart, I do everything I do to help other people, and I truly
Listen,
mean
personally, I do what I do, and because I want to leave behind a legacy, right? I want to be successful, and I want, you know, for me, number one is the family, right?
Yep.
I have a supporting wife. She's always like, whenever I have an idea, she always there to support me and say, yeah, let's do it. You know, think about the pros and cons, but let's do it. Is this what you want to do? Go for it. And my amazing kids. I have 3 kids. They're amazing. They're my life. And that's why I work for, you know,
That's it.
for them.
And it's a beautiful thing. Leo, listen, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming out here today and you know,
It was my pleasure.
joining this episode of Beyond the Blueprint. I think this was a very powerful episode for people that are going to listen to it, and you know, they're kind of unsure of who they are, where they want to go. They might be from another country. They don't think they could get somewhere. You know, you're a living and breathing example of a, you know, immigrant from another country that came here. They had a goal, they had a dream, and they executed on that. So I appreciate you coming out here and talking with everybody today that may be listening. And again, I'm Stephen Marcellino Jr., and I'm your host of the Beyond the Blueprint podcast, powered by LaPolis Electric. And I thank you all for watching another great episode. Enjoy till next time.